Hey, Shalom, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh, Shai, Barakatham, to all the brothers in Israel. Shalom, Yahweh, Shamar, Alatham, Ba'ashem, Yahweh, Shai, to all the sisters. This is the ISUPK Las Vegas. Started at 1 West 125th, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. And this is the Tuesday Brotherhood class, and I am Precinct Officer of 50 Iraq. As the title says, separation is the will of God. So that's what our topic is going to be today. It's about, we're going to wrap up what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks about how the will of the Lord is for us to separate from these other nations. You understand? That separation is very important because first and foremost, if you look at us today as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, it's lucky. If you look at us today as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, in no shape or form are we actually separated from the other nations. In fact, we're actually separated from ourselves. But we're at feud with our own brothers and sisters just because, the white man, the so-called white man, had labeled them as Hispanics or Mexicans, or how the so-called Mexicans are at beef with the so-called Salvadorians. But the thing is at the end of the day, they're brothers. You understand? And they're put at odds against each other. We're at odds with the wrong people. And what I'm going to bring out today, I pray that y'all understand that what I'm bringing out with these scriptures is, y'all understand that these are the words of the Most High God. And the Most High God doesn't want us to be, unified with anybody else except for us. Well, except for our own. So like it. You understand? With that being said, I'm going to take a moment to like and share the video. And I ask that y'all do the same thing. It's very important that we all do our part to push this word out to the four corners of the earth, so that all of our brothers and sisters have the same opportunity, or have an opportunity to hear this word. You understand? Because you know what? Only in the ISUPK under Commander General Yohana can somebody actually get the proper counseling that somebody needs to overcome, being a drug addict, or being a so-called, an ex-murderer, or what have you. Only in the ISUPK can the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American get any type of reformation. You understand? And when you are reformed in this school, you are reformed in a righteous manner. You understand? So make sure that you do your part, so that that one brother or sister that's looking for an answer, that's looking for that help, they have that opportunity to click on that link that you like and shared, so that they can learn to get themselves right and to get into these classes. You understand? Because mind you as well, I'm not only just speaking about ISUPK Las Vegas classes, I'm also talking about anything that is ISUPK under Commander Yohana. You understand? So, if you don't mind, just give me a few moments so I can do my part, liking and sharing, and then we'll get on with the class. So first of all, we're gonna start off. You know what? Where I want to start off at before we actually get onto that part, we're gonna start off at Doug on it at Zechariah. Is it Zechariah? I always get it mixed up. I believe it's Zephaniah. Yeah, the book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1. So like you. This is what we're gonna start off with. The book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation, not desired. Now, I want y'all to just think about that in the relative terms of what's going on today on what nation of people aren't desired. Because mind you, even though that Asian, being Asian isn't necessarily a nation, that's a blanket term for all or so-called Oriental people with the Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, Vietnamese, etc. Um, we know that they are not the nations that are not desired. You understand that all of them, the Vietnamese, Chinese, what have you. There's some sort of form of respect for all of them. And mind you, as well, here in America, they are protected all the way around. Because look at what just had recently happened, not too long ago, with that Stop Asian Hate bill that just had recently been passed. You understand? So you know that that's not the nation that is not desired. You understand? They're able to build into our ghettos, come from their own country, and bring all their family over so they can live in one house and build their wealth here in America. It's not the Asians. Obviously, we know it's not the so-called white man, where the so-called everybody looks up to the so-called white man. Everybody is also in fear of the so-called white man. You understand what I'm saying? Even so much to the point where they look at him as a form of a god. And what I mean by that is, look at when you go into your churches, who is pictured in those churches on the cross? It's a so-called white man, Caesar Borgia. You understand? Y'all think and believe that that's Jesus Christ, but that's Caesar Borgia, a so-called white man. You understand? If you don't know who Caesar Borgia is, I highly recommend that you look him up. You understand? Turns out, he's the son of what is it, the Pope Francis II, I believe. You know what I'm saying? You can look up who he is, and in fact, when you do look him up and you come across his history, you'll come to find out that he is a direct representation of the so-called white man. He is a murderer. He is a homosexual. He's into incest. You understand? And he's a liar. You understand? But mind you as well, we know that that is not the nation that is not desired. You understand what I'm saying? Africans. Everybody wants to be African. Even a so-called white man tries to play, the whole African card as well. So this is all letting you know the primary nations of this world, the primary people of this world that we know is just not desired by anybody else. But then who does that leave off with? Nobody wants to be Native American except for the benefits that the so-called Native American man gets in America. They love the culture. They love the way they get down. You understand, with their fringes and their garments and everything, and they headdresses. Everybody loves that. But as far as actually wanting to be like them, live that lifestyle, nobody wants to be a Native American. You know why? Because that means that genocide would have to happen upon you and your people. That means that you and your people would have to be plagued with smallpox and all manners of diseases. That means that your land would have to be stolen by the so-called white man, essentially. Or we can just say, keep it all general. It has to be stolen by somebody else. Nobody wants that. So we know that at least so far, the Native Americans aren't desired, but who else isn't desired? The so-called Hispanic man. You understand? Here we live here in America. What was California, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Texas? What was all of that originally? Mexico, until the colonizers had came into this country and started stealing that land. Now, mind you as well, The people who used to own that land are trying to come back to that land for work so they can just simply support their families. And what does the people who stole this, mind you as well, stole this land say? Go back to where you came from. We don't want you here. Y'all some dirty Mexicans. All sorts of, y'all dirty wetbacks and beaners and this, that, and the other, left and right, just calling you by all sorts of manners of bywords. You understand? That lets you know that they are not desired in their own land, just like the Native Americans. You understand what I'm saying? But yet, let's not forget that there's still one more. There's still one more people that I did not mention, and that's a so-called Negro. And mind you as well, I don't want y'all to think that the Negro is the same as the so-called African man, because they're not. And one way you know that is you can look up these doggone videos of these Africans being called niggas, and you like, oh, we the same, brothers, so-called Negroes here in America trying to tell an African man, oh, no, we the same. They know we're not the same. No. You are lesser than us. That's what they think and believe. You understand? But mind you, with that being said, with everybody trying to associate the so-called black man here in America with Africa, Africa cuts us off, does not desire us to be a part of them, to be associated with them. Mind you as well, even think about Haiti. Haiti tried to join into the African Union. You understand? And the African government said, y'all just ain't African enough. You understand? And in my opinion, I feel like in modern day terms, my Haitian brothers who are the Levites, the Haitian brothers aren't African enough because of the fact that they overqualify. They overqualify because, for one, they are Israelites, and two, my Haitian Levite brothers were able to fight off the colonizers that came in and invaded Haiti, or not invaded Haiti, but went and enslaved my Levite brothers in Haiti. They fought them off. Nobody, I will say that again, nobody deserves to be associated with my Levite Haitian brothers when they want to kiss the feet of essentially their oppressors. The Levites, if I may, set a standard. You understand what I'm saying? Historically set a standard and overthrew their doggone oppressors. You understand? But mind you as well, one reason why they were able to do that is because they Israel in the first place. You understand? We are the real warriors of this earth. You understand what I'm saying? The true warriors of this earth. Because we belong to the Most High God, whom of which is a God of war. He is a man of war. You understand what I'm saying? But, so with that being said, you got the Negro who's not desired by anybody, because the white man don't want nothing to do with us. The Asian man, hurry up and buy. The Africans say, what's the word they call us? Akata, I think it means, which is basically their derogatory, their byword towards the American Negro for, cotton picker, essentially. That's to my knowledge. I'm not sure exactly what that means. I was just tracking that, that was part of it. If anybody actually knows the definition of it, please post it in the comments. But yeah, nobody wants anything to do with the so-called Negro, the black man. And mind you as well, let's keep in mind this. Christ is a so-called black man. Christ came from the tribe of Judah. You understand? That's the so-called Negroes, is the tribe of Judah. Nobody wants to deal with the tribe of Judah. The tribe of Judah gets hurry up and buy. You understand what I'm saying? We are not desired. We are that nation that is not desired. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Of course, everybody wants our tacos, our barbecue, our culture, anything about anything that deals with us that doesn't deal with being a part of us. Because mind you, you do see the so-called white man becoming a Muslim. You see him becoming an African. You see him becoming, a Buddhist, and they all interchange within that as well. But you don't ever see anybody actually really being a nigga. You put that white boy who think he a nigga, who wants to try to act like a nigga. You put him in a real situation. He don't pull through. He'll keep that front though, but he don't pull through. You understand? So just to set the tone with Zephaniah 2:1, I'm gonna read it again for you, just to a little refresher for all y'all. I know I kind of rambled on for a little bit. The book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. It's telling us, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we need to come together. We need to come together and gather ourselves amongst ourselves. Off the rip, it's letting you know we need to separate from everybody else, because you don't gather with something doesn't gather together and says, a lion goes to gather with his pride and said, hey, come here, Mr. Zebra, come here, Mr. Hyena, we're having a lion gathering, come with us. No, the lions get down together, the wolves get down together, the sheep get down together. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the same mindset we need to have for our own people as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. First and foremost, we also need to recognize that we are all brothers and sisters between blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Those are the 12 tribes of Israel. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites. You understand? We need to recognize that and move forward from there. And mind you, like I said, what I brought out is Zephaniah 2:1. Gather yourself together. They gather together, O nation not desired. This cannot be stressed enough. You understand what I'm saying? Reason being, we so quick to, run to the aid of somebody of a people, a nation of people who hates us. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We so quick to aid them, fight for them, and defend them. Just imagine what type of people that we would be in 2021, where the economy runs off of us. Innovation runs off of us. The medical advances runs off of us. My rib just the other day, she had shown me this this article about how they cured, it was some disease. I think it was on the path. Oh, that's what it is. I believe it was Alzheimer's. Ali, if you're watching, if you don't mind, post that that disease of that article that you had showed me not too long ago, about where they used Native American, mind you, Native American DNA as for their CRISPR project to cure Alzheimer's, to get rid of Alzheimer's. You understand what I'm saying? And with that, immediately, as soon as I heard that, as soon as she told me about that and read that article to me, the first thing that went to my mind was, well, all of our vaccines is based off of a sister. I can't think of what her name is right now. If anybody is watching, the CRISPR, it's Salaki. It was sickle cell, not Alzheimer's. It was sickle cell. You understand? And mind you as well, that's something that plagues our people. Sickle cell disease plagues our people horrendously. You understand what I'm saying? But mind you, think about how deep that is, first and foremost. It takes our own people to cure our own diseases that plagues us. You understand? And his sister's name was Henrietta Lacks. Our vaccines are based off of her DNA. Back in, I can't remember what the time frame is, so I'm not gonna make myself look stupid. But before the 1980s, we'll say that. Before the 1980s, there was a lot of vaccines that we didn't have at that time, and those with Native American. Hey, the water just for bringing that out. But so prior to 1980, there was a lot of vaccines that we didn't have. Now, just to kind of briefly touch on the importance of Henrietta Lacks is the fact that, you know, her DNA had cured and fought off numerous diseases and afflictions. You understand what I'm saying? And so because of that, they recognized that when she went into the hospital, and so after she died, they used basically the foundation of her DNA that fights off diseases and afflictions of the body. And essentially, if you've gotten a vaccine today in 2021, you have a piece of her DNA inside your body fighting off those diseases. You understand? And I want y'all to think about that on a larger scale in the sense of the fact that it takes our own people to fight off a virus, to fight off a disease, to fight off an affliction. You understand? When you brighten that, when you pull your eye away from that microscope, since you're using, the microscope to cure these doggone diseases and what have you, when you pull yourself away from that microscope and apply that same logic to what's going on today in the world, you need to think about how, first of all, the so-called white man is a virus. Get the Officer Thabawan, first and foremost, I got to give that brother a big hand, a big hand. Officer Thabawan and Officer Karayash out there in Chicago and Thabawan out there in California, they had an amazing lecture. And one thing that Officer Thabawan had brought out, I believe this lecture was on Thursday, Thursday or Friday. But one thing that Officer Thabawan had brought out, which was so heavy to me, was to understand a virus, and this is me paraphrasing, to understand a virus is similar to understanding these colonizers, the so-called white men, where when the virus infiltrates your body, it masks itself to the rest of your body to make itself look like it's something that's good, something that's beneficial. You understand what I'm saying? But then, while it's doing that, it's infiltrating other cells. It's inflicting other cells. So, in other words, one way that you can think of it is, it's Mr. Candyland off of Django. You got Mr. Candyland on Django just making Steven after Steven after Steven after Steven, them coon-ass niggas that love the white man. But they don't realize they being infiltrated. You understand? And then, when the moment is right, when the virus feels like it's able to do its thing so that it can mutate and begin to overtake its host to do its thing, that's when all the cells begin to die. That's when what it infiltrated begins to be killed off. Now, we're talking about a virus, but doesn't that sound exactly like when the so-called white man came in and invaded North America and South America? Isn't that exactly what it sounds like? They brought great promises and, in peace. You just teach me how to live on this land and we can coexist and, kumbaya together and sit at the fire and smoke, the peace pipe and this, that, and the other. But nah, the whole time, the so-called white man being a virus was appearing as, making himself appear as something good and infiltrated. And then in the process, mind you, turn some of us against ourselves. That's cancer in itself. That's literally what cancer is. It's your own cells turning on itself, on its own cells. You understand? So we have to understand that separation, us gathering ourselves together, not allowing a virus to come in, us coming in together to build a stronghold. You understand? And setting up a a fortress within ourselves, so to speak, and building off of that, expanding off of that, but we're only worried about ourselves. Not just being a virus, but spreading viruses to those they colonize. No, exactly. You're exactly right, sis. Because y'all gotta also keep in mind, you can take this coronavirus for example. You know, we all know it is a virus. The reason why we have this new Delta variant is because it's been mutating. Every time that a virus transfers a new host, it increases the chances of it essentially mutating. Because there's viruses actually do learn. They do gain resiliency. You understand what I'm saying? Even though that we are to look at a virus as neither a non-living or a living thing, that's technically by their definition, viruses do have the ability to learn and to adapt to their environment so that they're able to do what, basically so they can multiply and colonize. We'll say that. You understand? But mind you as well, in the midst of colonization, what happens? What has always happened on the human scale and also on the viral scale, which, when it comes to the white man, that's two and the same. You understand? But what happens? Something gets destroyed. The original form gets destroyed. The original history, mind you, the history of the so-called black man, which is the black, Hispanic, and Native American man, can be found here in the Bible. You understand what I'm saying? So if that could be found in the Bible, it's like that could be found in the Bible. Why is it that when we read the Bible at church, the pictures that they put up and the movies that they make is white folk? It's because they infect everything to turn even your own history against you if you don't understand to essentially create them antibodies to fight against that. And I will tell you that the ISUPK is the immune system to white supremacy, to anything in every nation that comes against you, any type of infiltration that were to come upon you. The ISUPK is that immune system and the cure as well to help you fight against an infiltration to come upon your body, to fight against any type of infiltration that might come upon your mind. And it's the cure of all infiltration that has come upon your spirit in your mind. You understand what I'm saying? You can only find that in the ISUPK. Because, mind you as well, the ISUPK understands Zephaniah 2 and 1. I'm going to read it one more time and then we're going to push on. The book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Don't give them that opportunity. You understand? Every all armies, all defenses are at its maximum power efficiency when all forces are brought into one spot. You understand? So understand that, and you'll begin to understand these scriptures in the first place. You understand? Because the thing is this is all about Zephaniah 2 and 1 is about us coming together so that we can essentially defend ourselves, so that we can come together and remove ourselves from the things that have been afflicting us a lot. You understand? So we're gonna drop that. We're gonna pull some more scripture. All right. This is the book of second. We're gonna go to the book of Second Thessalonians, chapter 1. We're gonna read 1 through 10. I'm gonna stop here and there because there are some words that I feel is necessary for us to get the definition of, so that we can make sure that we stay in the spirit of understanding, and that way we also know every word that's being spoken, that being uh, being read, that was spoken to be written. You understand what I'm saying? I got the first one. Let me just put that in real quick, and then we'll begin. So when we get to it, there we go. We can, I already got it ready for y'all. You understand? So again, this is the book of Second Thessalonians, chapter 2, starting at verse 1 and ending at verse 10. Verse 1. Now we beseech you. Beseech means, we speaking to you. All right? Now we are speaking to you. Brethren. Now, mind you as well, this is Paul. Paul speaking to the brothers. So we are speaking to the brothers. You understand? By the coming of our Lord, Jesus Christ, in the English, or Yahushua Mashiach, and by our gathering together unto him. He's speaking to everybody that gathered under the name of, our Lord, Yahushua Mashiach in the Hebrew, or in English, Jesus Christ. These are the people that Paul is speaking to. Because mind you as well, Stephen too in love with Mr. Candyland. For those of y'all that have seen Django, for those of y'all that haven't, if I may, it's a pretty decent movie. You should check it out. But I'm not trying to promote movies right now. You understand? It just will help y'all with some of the metaphors and analogies that I like to use from time to time in my future and past classes. But moving on. Verse 2. That ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that the day of Christ is at hand. Now, we need to break that down, line upon line right there. You understand? So that we can all get an understanding of what Paul is actually saying. So first of all, in the first verse, already Paul was addressing who he was speaking to. And that's the brethren, and mind you as well, also the sisters as well, that came together, just like in, Zephaniah 2 and 1. That nation that was not desired, that decided to gather themselves under the banner, under, Yahushua Mashiach, under his lead, under his commandments. You understand what I'm saying? Not his commandments, but under his lead and his following, to walk into those footsteps of Christ. You understand what I'm saying? That's who Paul and all the apostles are speaking to. You understand what I'm saying? He's saying that ye be not shaken in mind. Do not be shaken in your mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit nor by word. So this is letting you know, don't let anything shake you. Don't let any words, anybody's, just because you think you feel a certain type of way, don't let that deter you. You understand? From what you know is right, and that is according to the scriptures. You understand what I'm saying? The scriptures taught by those that were appointed under Commandant General Yohanan. You understand what I'm saying? Neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us. This is letting you know, because mind you, there's going to be those. So first off, there's going to be those that will speak against us, that will speak against you. Okay? Where they'll tell you, are you in a cult? You know what I'm saying? That you're being used, any type of slander, the world is going to throw at you. You understand? The first person that's going to tell you that is Commandant General Yohanan. Because to this day, ever since he took command, and even while he was, even before he was given command, Commander General Yohana has known about the slander that comes against this school. And now, since he was put into the position to take command of this school, he understands, now he knows the slander that comes his way just by being the leader. The slander just of being the leader, period. The slander that is received. You understand? No matter what your position is, you will receive slander. Somebody is always going to be there to try to knock you down. But now there's also something that I want y'all to pay attention to as well, is nor by letter as from us. Us being all the apostles, all, the 12 apostles. You understand? Because mind you, when you read through the scriptures, I've never read anything that said, aside from when we go into the kingdom, from when we begin the kingdom, from when Esau's world ends and the beginning of Jacob's world begins, aside from that, I really haven't read anything that's too much of sunshine and rainbows and daisies and, something that's just always so great for the Black, Hispanic, and Native American man. We have good times, of course, even in poverty. We have good times. We always find a way to have good times. That's why we are so hated on as well. Because we're such a resilient people. Nothing can really destroy us. Nothing can really destroy our spirit. You understand what I'm saying? Mostly because we are the Lord's people. Y'all gotta understand that. But with that being said, the truth of the matter is, when Paul said, nor by letter as from us, he's saying, if you read something in these scriptures where you just like, damn, that shit heavy, man. It's a lucky for my language, but that's slit kind of heavy. I don't know if I can go through that. What you need to keep in mind is, as that the day of Christ is at hand, you need to put aside any affliction that you go through. You need to put aside anything that you feel like is knocking you down, that's making you second guess. That's not necessarily the word I was looking for, but that'll suffice. Anything that might make you second guess what you're doing is right. Because there's one thing that anybody that actually watches these classes, Black Watch, and when I say these classes, I'm not saying just the Tuesday Brotherhood class in Las Vegas or even the Las Vegas classes as a whole. I'm saying ISUPK classes, especially classes like Black Watch or General Mahayim's scripture breakdown classes on Thursdays. You understand? Or his class, his classes on Mondays. One thing that those people who actually watch those videos, no matter how you feel about everything, anything and everything, doggone well that the truth is coming out and speaking about this world that we live in. And the thing is, it all comes straight out of the Bible. You understand? It all comes straight out of the Bible. So with that being said, there should be no reason for anybody to try to come up with an excuse. You come up with an excuse, I'm going to tell y'all this, and I think I've spoken very little of my situation, and I'm going to leave it at that as well, of me coming into the truth. I actually, you know what? I'll get a little personal. I'll bring out a little bit without any names or anything, my upbringing coming into the truth. I'm going to keep it short because I do want to read these things. But basically, when I was a young man first coming into the school and everything and trying to learn, at the end of the day, I allowed my own skin color to bring confusion upon me, where I allowed others to persuade me that I needed to do more family research to find out what my forefathers were, whether or not they were Black, Hispanic, or Native American. You understand? And technically, that is protocol. That is protocol. But mind you, as well, a lot of it cannot be answered, and that's part of prophecy. You understand? But I can only go basically 3 generations, and that's that. After that, everything is cut off. So there was someone who, because I couldn't go any further, basically, took it upon himself to cut me off from the school. You understand what I'm saying? Mind you, as well, he was just doing his job, making sure that the school wasn't being infiltrated by a virus. You understand what I'm saying? He was doing his job. He was fulfilling his due diligence to make sure that there was no so-called white man that came into this school. You understand what I'm saying? So over time, I maintained my my zeal to join into the school. And this is not me, praising myself or uplifting myself in any manner. But this is my upcoming into the school. I maintained my zeal so that, because I knew that this was the home of the truth. I knew that this was the truth, and I knew I was a nigga through and through, right? So this is basically what my story is going through, because obviously, long story short, because we're not going to go all the way through, maybe on another day, what my whole story is, or hell, y'all want to sit down and have a drink with a brother? First of all, love me some gin. Just saying. But you want to sit down and have a drink with a brother, and we can go into full details. We can do that. But the reason why I'm bringing that out is my story, which pertains to what we just read, is I didn't allow my mind to be shaken or to be troubled, neither by my spirit nor by word. Mind you, as well, or the letter that was written by the apostles, because of the fact that I knew what they were speaking was true, that the apostles was true. And mind you, that is obviously considering the afflictions that we would have to go through, how everybody would always come against us. You understand? I'm a video game nerd. When you know you're going in the right direction is when you going the wrong way when nobody's attacking. You know you're progressing in the level when all of a sudden you got enemies again. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how one way that kept me strong. But mind you, as well, to get back to where I had kind of skipped into my story, there was a brother, Captain Sakawar. He said something real heavy in the midst of me getting to a weak point, I'll say. Well, I was contemplating things. When I got to a point of contemplation, and mind you, I'm bringing this out as well because of the spirit of this being a Tuesday Brotherhood class. And this brother, I didn't meet him until this past Passover. You understand? Out there in Houston, Texas, which was a glorious, glorious time, if I may say. But as soon as I saw him, of course, I did my due diligence and saluted Captain Sakawar and let him know what he did for me and thanked him for that. You understand? Because if it hadn't been for his words, which was, if you're wanting to fall away, if you're allowing anything to come across your mind inflict your spirit, inflict your body, if you allow these things to happen, you wanted it to happen in the first place. You want to sin. You want to do these things you're not supposed to be doing. You understand? Because one way that you have to think about that as well is, let's say, I'm not going to use that example. When you're associating yourselves only with the so-called white man, you setting yourself to be infiltrated. You setting yourself up to become like them. That's what a virus does, is make you think that y'all the same. You understand? You start to become like them, then they turn you around to be a counter against your own people, because you are that cell that is the same with the rest of your people. You understand what I'm saying? We're basically just wrapping that all up together so that we can continue on. It's Salakia, rambling. It's just, these scriptures get real heavy for me and whatnot, because these were, real important for me, coming up to being a rock in the first place, being, gaining my place in this school in the first place. You understand? And I pray and hope that I can be a beacon for somebody else, to be that, that guiding light for somebody else. You understand? Where it doesn't matter what comes across your way, you know what you should do. When you start to feel low, when you start to feel down, when you start to kind of question, damn, should I be doing this, that, and the other? Instead of just going on your own, leaning on your own understanding and your own feelings, you do the right thing. And you seek out them priests and prophets of the Lord and ask them for counseling. That's the whole point of what I was bringing out about my story. Was that I started to get a little low because of how things were going against me. And I sought out Captain. In the middle, it was a Thursday. It was at the time he was teaching scripture breakdown back in 2018. This was in January, maybe February 2018. And I asked, Captain Sakawar, and he had given me a scripture. I believe it was 1 Timothy, is it 1 and 4, I believe. And basically, it says, don't, just paraphrasing it if I am correct, it's either 1 and 4 or 2 and 4. Or it's likely it's either 1 Timothy's or 2 Timothy's 1 and 4, where it says, don't give in to endless fables and stories, for they just create confusion. Now I'm paraphrasing. You understand what I'm saying? That right there is brotherhood. You understand? So that anything else that is coming across in these scriptures, where you just kind of like, what? How I go about this? How I go about that? You always know you got brotherhood to fall back on. You understand what I'm saying? It's a lot here from rambling, but I'm gonna push back on. I'll push on. Hey, Shalom, you're Broken Thug, Trooper Taza War. It's good to see you in the class. I hope everything is wild with you. Verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Now, I'm going to read, this is one of the words that I wanted to bring out. Look up the definition. It's perdition, just so that everybody understands what this word means. Perdition, noun, definition of from Oxford Languages. In Christian theology, is what it says, a state of eternal punishment and damnation into which a sinful and unpenitent person passes after death. So, that was according to, the Christian theology. The only thing that we need to focus on with this definition is a state of eternal punishment and damnation. Not so much eternal damnation, but the damnation which a sinful person goes through. All right. Now we're going to reread verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means. What man in the first place is going to deceive you? What is the main one? That's a so-called white man. I mean, hell, that's how he gained this land that we are in today that belonged to somebody else. The indigenous people of this land, the so-called Hispanics and Native Americans. You understand? The white man did it by deceit. You're cold, here's a blanket. You need medicine, let me shoot you up. Let me give you this. Oh, we're allies. We can coexist. We can live together. But yet, war. You understand what I'm saying? That's let no man deceive you. For that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first. There will be no deceiving us unless we fall away, unless we come apart from each other. You understand? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the reason why we continuously be deceived is because we're not together. It's because we are not together. We are not, going back to Zephaniah 2:1, we are not gathered together as a nation that is not desired amongst the other nations. That is your key identifier that you belong in this Bible. It's the fact that you are not desired. No matter what you do, you are not desired. You can fall into Muslim, you can fall into Christianity, you can fall into any type of nasty Africanism where they allow cows to, they take cow piss showers, shower piss, whatever you want to say, whatever, stick their head in a cow's ass. You understand? You can do all of that. The Africans still ain't gonna love you. The Asians still ain't gonna love you. The white man still ain't gonna love you. What can you do? Gather yourself together first and foremost with your own people and follow and come back into your own culture. You understand? Follow the Lord, thy God, the one and only God. You understand? The God of all of us. You understand what I'm saying? But he only has favor and love for us and mercy at that as well for the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand? But we won't be deceived unless we fall away from each other. All right? Read it on. And that the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, and the man of sin be revealed. Who's the man of sin? The so-called white man. Because who's pushing LGBTQ, X, Y, and Z? Who's pushing all of the government agencies and the police force to come against our people? Who's pushing that? Who's pushing all of the oppression that comes down against the so-called black, Hispanics, and Native Americans? Who's doing it? Think about that, because that is the man of sin, and he's being revealed today. Mind you, he is being revealed today. And if you can't recognize it, who that is, IHBK.com. Find your local school and get your tail in class so that you can get learned. You understand? The son of perdition. Now we just read that definition. A state of eternal punishment and damnation into which a sinful and unpenitent person passes after death. Now, SBK, we understand that damnation, being damned, is here on earth. You understand? Being damned is here on earth. Being blessed is here on earth. You understand? But this is the son of damnation, the son who inflicts these punishments that the so-called Christians say that these punishments happen in hell after you die. And think about how wicked that is. Think about how wicked the Christian church is that sit there and tell you that you're going to be, all the wickedness that you did in your life won't be paid for until after you die for eternity. And you only live this one time. When the reality of it is, you deal with it each life that you live here on earth. You understand what I'm saying? So the poverty that you're going through today is part of our what's the word? A part of our punishment. You understand what I'm saying? The afflictions that we have, the afflictions that we have today here on earth, it's part of our punishment. From disobeying, going against our forefathers, going against the covenant that was made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's all a part of it. You understand what I'm saying? Because our God is a loving and a merciful God, we have the opportunity to get ourselves right, to get us back in our rightful position. I got issues with my ears. To get back into our rightful position that we were supposed to be in here on earth. You understand? But that son of perdition, that son of the man of sin, it's two in the same. You understand? That same man that's going to bring affliction upon you and your people is the same man that is the man of sin. Because one thing that he's going to afflict your people with is homosexuality. You can't even, this is the sad part. You can put on PBS, Disney Channel, some educational channel or whatever for a few minutes to kind of babysit your child, to quiet down your child while, you can do some house cleaning or whatever, right? By the time you come back, what you're going to see on the screen is, and mind you as well, this is a real thing. I'm not making nothing up. You can look this up. They have cartoons coming out where they're teaching your child how to masturbate. Male or female. They're putting that curiosity into your child's head. We all hip to the fact that they put homosexuality into every freaking show that we watch. But now they're teaching your child how to get down. You know what I'm saying? On TV for everybody to watch. You know what? I'm not going to tell y'all how to run your own households, but I know that there are households out there that do not agree with that, especially in the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community, where somebody else is teaching their child about sex. Because mind you, if you let the white man teach your child about sex, he's going to also teach your child about homosexuality, how to be a homosexual, how to be a lesbian. You understand? So we're going to move on. Verse 4. Who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is God, or that is worship, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Mind you, so far from what we reading, it's telling you, keep in mind that a lot of this deceit is going to come from our oppressor. When you go into Christianity, this right here, why doesn't the Christian church talk about 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4? Why? Why? Why doesn't it talk about that, but then also we talk about Revelation chapter 1, 13 through 15? And then look at that doggone Jesus picture that they have in the church. Why? Why not? Because then Mr. Pastor Pork Chop, how you gonna pay his bills? How you gonna get his next Rolex? How you gonna pay for his next family trip? While you and your family are fighting to pay the bills, let alone put some ramen in the house for your babies to eat. You understand what I'm saying? You put these things together, you start to understand why you need to separate in the first place. Because them Christian pastors, just because it might be a nigga, a so-called Negro, a so-called black man, just because that is the case, does not mean that he actually following the words of God. Man, that is Stephen from Django. He trying to make sure that Candyland is here forever and ever. You understand what I'm saying? He is making sure that that white God that y'all worship in the Christian church remains forever and ever. That's what Stephen's gonna do. That's what that coon ass nigga is doing. Your pastors is not for you, Black, Hispanic, and Native American man. They are not for you. They are against you. You understand? Trying to make himself as God. Blasphemy. So like you. We move on. Verse 5. Remember ye not that when I was with you, I told you these things? And just remember the time when these things was already being spoken about time and time again throughout the scriptures. And of course, hey, at this time, it's being time and time again. For those of y'all that tune into these classes and watch these classes, time and time again, we try to get down with you and let you know what the game is, what is going on, time and time again. You understand? You are being warned. So why don't you remember? There is no remembering. It's not about your memory. It's about the fact that you ain't trying to do it. And let's be real. You want to fall into the traps and snares of your oppressor. You want to stay in sin. Your actions speak on it. You understand? Verse 6. And now ye know that withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time. All of these things, who is who, will be revealed in the time that is appointed, in the time that the Most High God had appointed for his time, their time, and our time. You understand what I'm saying? Verse 7. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. That's already put into process. LGBTQ, Christianity. You understand? Just the simplicity of police brutality. All of these things are already put into work. You understand? Only he who now letteth will let. Only who allows these things to be will allow it to be. Until he be taken out of the way. I mean, that's self-explanatory. Until you remove yourself out of that position. Because at that point, now you getting down like us to come across, you come against it. You understand? Verse 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. And then shall the wicked be revealed. The wicked gonna be revealed. Mind you, everybody's position according on the left and who is actually on the left side of the Lord and the right side of the Lord, the left side of Christ and the right side of Christ is going to be revealed. Keep playing your doggone games. And I mean that video games, your goddamn, just your games. There's nothing wrong with playing video games, but I do know of some people who play video games to where it's damn near they got. And that's what I was referring to. But keep playing your games. Keep playing your video games. Keep playing your nonsense where at the end of the day, you just setting yourself up for destruction because you are lining yourself up with the wicked. Because the wicked will be revealed. The wicked will be sought out and put up front. The wicked will not go without punishment. You have to understand, my God, the God of the Bible is a righteous God and a just God. Those that deserve it, those that have it coming, will get it. These things will happen to them that the Lord God has spoken against them. You understand? And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. Yeah, the Lord God will consume with the spirit of his mouth. And let them, like, just look at what we do on the corners when we go to camp. How people's spirits are just, you know what? Look up, find on YouTube IACPK boot kisses. Their spirits become afflicted by the Lord to the point where they actually realize that, you know what? Oh, damn, I need to get myself right. I need to kiss. I need to lick the dust off of his boots to show that, you know what? I am sorry for what happened to you and your forefathers and what's happening to your people today, to the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that's happening today. You understand? Lord God, through his spirit, will consume everybody else. You understand? And shall destroy with brightness of his coming. Mind you as well, the brightness of his coming. Brightness of his coming. Because when Christ returns, his brightness, everybody's going to be consumed in it because what comes with that? Think about what comes with that. Christ is coming to sling that sword. He is not coming to make peace and make friends with everybody. You understand? He is coming to sling that sword. And the brightness of that is going to be it's going to be blinding. Of the aspect of, oh, well, I thought Christ was coming for peace. That brightness, oh, damn, what? He's coming to, because I was, off with your head. Blinding. Damn near got a flashbang thrown at your goofy ass. Because you want to just believe things that are told to you. You understand? Instead of coming to the priests and the prophets of the Lord. Verse 9. Even him who's coming after the working of Satan with all power and signs and wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Basically what I was just talking about. When Christ returns with that bright sword to lop everybody's head off because you didn't want to do what you were supposed to be doing. Primarily, this is for those of the caste of Satan. But just because that you are so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American does not mean that you safe. Listen, I'm a nigga from the tribe of Judah. You understand? My father is a so-called black man. My father before him and his father before him and his father before him are so-called black men. You understand? Just because we are niggas, we come from one of the 12 tribes of Israel, does not mean that automatically I get salvation. Automatically I get mercy. I have to earn it. Just like all of you so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you have to earn mercy. And the way that you earn mercy is by doing what the hell God told you to do in the first place. Follow the law, statutes, and commandments. You understand what I'm saying? That's the only way. The only way. And that's the way that the Christian church doesn't tell you. Because mind you as well, like I had spoken about earlier, how wicked they are, or how they will keep you in the dark for the benefit of money, the benefit of the life that they are currently living today, in no regards of anybody else's life. Make sure you pay your tithes, even though that tithe money that you paying for the 5th time this same month, you could have paid your electric bill, you could have fed your babies. But nah, at least you paid your tithe that 5th time for that month, and pastor railing you out, sis, because now he give you a little bit of crumbs of what he's been getting all in total. And I'm not saying that to be explicit. I'm saying that on a educational note, because that is the case for some sisters. A lot of sisters do sleep with men. Mind you, what do you think what prostitution is? They give their bodies up so that they can provide for themselves, and if they have children, for them as well. Christianity is a pimp. Your pastor is the manager. The women are the prostitutes. Those are the workers. As everybody knows, that's God's church. The reality of it. Them so-called white Jesus believers, not to get explicit, but they get down. They give a man what a man wants and go on to the next one. Everybody got a chance. You understand what I'm saying? Now we're going to drop that. We're going to go to the first book of Maccabees, chapter 3, verse 48. You understand? We kind of go off of, because we haven't separated, our lack of separation is allowing the heathens, the other nations, our oppressors, to continue to come against us and keep us down. The first Maccabees, chapter 1, it's like First Maccabees, chapter 3, verse 48. And laid open the book of the law. What is the book of the law? The Bible. Because where do you find the law of the Lord? In the Bible. Right? Wherein the heathen has sought to paint the likeness of their images. They took our law book. That's why when you go on Netflix, and I remember watching it when I was in the military with Officer Aya Thud out there in North Carolina. Him and I were roommates while we were both in the military. And Barakatah Yahweh Yahweh Shai, that him and myself were able to pull away from that. We both decided amongst ourselves, one and done, to be done with the military and then come into a real military, the military under the Lord, the real army of the Lord. But there was a show we used to watch when we were first coming into the truth. That way, to kind of compare and contrast what was what was on the show. And I believe it was on Netflix at that time. This was back in 2017, between 2016 and 2018. I think more closely 17 to 18, but nonetheless, there was a show we used to watch where we would compare what we was learning in the ISUPK to what they was teaching and saying about the Bible on Netflix. And I remember in that series, I think it had maybe about eight episodes, and each episode was an hour long, and went into like really go into I just got a notification that we're having connection issues at the moment, so I'm just gonna verify that we're still good and online. If you get feedback, I'm just checking the sound. All right, wait to watch. So, the episodes were about like an hour long, give or take, and we was comparing and contrasting what we was learning from Commander General Yohana and all the priests and prophets underneath him to what was being pushed out on Netflix in the series. And mind you, it was a decent series too. Like, it was interesting the way that they did it and everything, right? A lot of it very inaccurate, but it was intriguing at the time that I watched it. I think I'd be more furious now watching it, where I'd be yelling, damn near wanting to throw my controller at the TV because of some of the things that they would bring out. One thing is, there was only one person throughout the Bible that was actually depicted as a so-called black man in that series, and it was Samson. Because, mind you, as well, historically, whoever braided their hair, historically, until dealings happened with the East Indian, them, thank you, come again, back to 7-Eleven, dudes, until we actually had solid dealings with them. When was dreadlocks really a thing? Because that came from them, in worship of their transsexual god Shiva, hermaphrodite god, whatever you want to call it. That god is interchangeable. My God is, mind you, as well. That also lets you know that all the other gods, show me a god that does not compromise. That is a god. That is a religion that I believe that should be, that the ISBK should be debating with, not the white Christian, church. And what I'm getting at with that is the fact that it's sad that we have to debate all these other religions and faiths that have a compromising faith where we don't compromise. The Bible does not compromise. The Bible, the God of the Bible, the true God of the Bible, the God that the ISUPK worships and follows, does not compromise. So with that being said, what I was getting at with what I was saying earlier, why should we even have to debate with anybody else? Because everybody knows that when you have to compromise, you lose. Even if it's a little bit. If you like me, losing a little bit to where I'm I used to wrestle. Second place, I hated it. I hated it. I only had two. I think I had one bronze medal, maybe two silver medals, and then I got buku gold medals from wrestling while I was in high school. And I only wrestled my junior, pretty much just my junior year. So I'm very competitive. That's something that's big for me. I need to be first. Ricky Bobby's competitiveness on Talladega Nights does not compete with mine. Because mind you as well, I had to lose a couple for me to understand to get myself better. That was some stupid fiction. It was funny, but some stupid fiction where everything was already given to him essentially because he was a so-called white man. You understand? But you know what? I'm just gonna leave that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Okay. Our people go through things separately than the others. As a whole, we can't even to the point where even our competition is, you know, we align ourselves with the people that we competing against, and that's the sad part. All right, and mind you, it's a lot here. I did have more to say, but I'm looking at the time, and I really do want to finish up these scriptures that I do have. But I do want to wrap up this subject with all my precepts. And again, lucky for the fact that I do get a little sidetracked from time to time, even when I'm just basically talking to myself. But you know what? The thing is from what I've learned coming into the truth, you know, the classes where you watch like this, you do actually you get a little bit of a feel where you know that teacher comes from, that officer comes from, you know, coming to the position that they are in. So there is benefit, but at the same time, I'm still neglecting y'all of, you know, what the Lord says. And I don't want to focus on me. You understand? So with that, I will apologize. So we're going to drop that and go to the book of Psalms, chapter 10. We're going to read from verses 2 through 8. All right? I'll give y'all about a few moments, sipping moments to get there yourself. All right. The book of Psalms, chapter 10, verse 2. The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. Now, you want to know one reason why the ISPK says that everything that has been done to the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans throughout history, we're going to do it to them, minus rape, minus, you know, anything that involves going against the law. We're going to do things back according to our law. So think about how creative we're going to get amidst of the law. And if I may, just really quick, I do want to paraphrase an article that I read earlier about how I actually was in a book. It's the book of 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro with Complete Truth. Or it's like with complete proof. And this is written by J.A. Rogers. One thing that he had brought out that kind of stood out to me. So like I dropped my pen. one thing that he had brought out that kind of stood out to me was how the slaves, we all know that, we weren't only owned by just the so-called white man at the time of, the Atlantic slave trade. Some of us was free. Some of us was also low enough to, you know, essentially enslave their own brothers and sisters, right? And so it touched on that and started speaking about how, in the midst of that, a lot of uh, the punishments, the way that they would deal with us, the punishment, interrogations, the, you know, just atrocity. Like you look these things up, you know, it'll twist you up quite a bit. You understand? Surely oppression, surely oppression will make a wise man mad. You understand? That's Ecclesiastes 7:7. My camp leader, Officer 5000 Shambal, one of his favorite scriptures. I can precept that just because I know that's his favorite scripture. And, that oppression has shown me to see, to dive into our history, to see, you know, basically the things that went against us throughout slavery and whatnot, we did it to our own and then some. We perfected it. We perfect anything and everything. But of course, we might perfect it in the form and technique. Now, hear me out. We might, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, when we own our own slaves, we might have perfected that said technique. But the white man says no, but there's more. There's another way we can do it. There's another deviation that we can do to make this even better. Mind you, let's read that again real quick. The book of Psalms, chapter 10, verse 2. I want you to think. Matter of fact, I'm going to read this. The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. The wicked in his pride comes against the poor, comes against the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans when we have nothing. You understand? I like it. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. They'll be taken in the devices they imagine. We might perfect their imagination and then they push it further. In other words, they setting up their own doggone punishment for when they go into slavery, for when they go into punishment. What they doing goes against themselves. All of it, according to the law. We ain't gonna do no fugazi nonsense where they marry a woman and have children with them. Hey, you know what? Hey, I'm happy for you. I'm so happy. As my gift, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your wife and the child that y'all just had. I'm going to sell them separately. I'm going to cut his leg off, sell him, right? And your wife, I'm going to burn her so that she's going to work in the fields. There is no comfort, this, that, and the other. She is going to work in the fields, separate from her baby, separate from you as the man. And mind you as well, you gotta look me in the face every goddamn day. I'm gonna remind you on a daily basis, this was my decision because you did this to my people, but in a more unrighteous manner. Because you would have slept with my wife. Y'all being the pedophile type ass people, you probably would have slept with my doggone infant child and killed them in the process. But at least your child gets to keep a leg. I'm just taking a leg. I'm making your child as worthless as possible on the market. On the market. I'm making your wife as worthless as possible on the market. And as for you, you know what? I'm gonna keep on giving women to you to fall in love with, left and right, get to know this, that, and the other, to give them away. And as soon as I find out that you start to become resilient to that, having your children taken away, and this, that, and the other, all right, it ain't over. That's the part where you start working all by yourself. Anything and everything you do is in solitary, so that all you do is think about all the children you sired, all the wives you've been with, every single part of human interaction. The only interaction you're going to get is whomever I hire as a seer to make sure your ass does not slack off in work. Only human interaction, because you're going to pick my cotton. You're going to reap my corn. Whatever it is that I got going down on my land, oh yeah, you're going to pick it up. You're going to do your work. Like my dad, like my own father says to me, ain't nobody working, ain't nobody living on my land on a free pass. Ain't nobody, getting down and under my roof for free. Uh-uh. I ain't doing that. You're going to pay your way. But you know what? One of my punishments towards you, so-called white man, and mind you, the Asian man might get a little bit better, tad bit. But they're gonna be on the same note. I'm still gonna do the same thing to him. When it comes time for the so-called Asian man to, come get their dinner, I'm gonna say, hurry up and go. Hurry up and get your plate. And they will all be trained to know that when I say that, don't grab no more from that area. He was trying to get a second scoop of greens. Nah, they ain't getting no greens. That's too good for them. That's too healthy for them. A second scoop of, I can't give them chitlins. Can't do that. We ain't going against the law. Second scoop of rice. But it took too long. Hurry up and move. Get out the way. I need you to hurry up and get out of line. Eat your food before I eat it for you, and you go back to work. That's how I'm gonna run my field. Lord allow. That's how I'm gonna get down. Because it's righteous. It's just. It was done to us. But even worse. You understand what I'm saying? Now, with that being said as well, you need to keep in mind that just because you're a Black, Hispanic, Native American, but you're not exempt from that. Today is the Tuesday Brotherhood class. This is not me speaking down on a Black, Hispanic, Native American man. This is me letting you know how the brotherhood, the sake of brotherhood, the love for my people, that, hey, you need to heed these words, or else, the Lord gonna deal with you in a sense where we need trash. There's always gonna be a need for people to shovel shit and shovel trash and you know what I'm saying, doing the dookie work, the crap work, the stupid work that nobody else wants to do. Where you sitting there just like, damn, man, I wish I could be a politician. I wish I could be a part of the 144,000. You know what? I don't even need to be a part of the 144,000. I just wish I could be a part of the military because of the way that the cast of Israel gets down. The military, rightfully, is above a civilian. Things look a whole lot more backwards here in America. You understand? With that being said, in the kingdom, things will be a whole lot more different. You want sure, first and foremost, calling in counsel. Secondly, first and foremost, getting class. Secondly, calling in counsel. Thirdly, stay in class. You want sure? Birds of a feather flock together. You keep on trying to learn from a certain doggone group. This is why I don't listen to your Kevin Samuels. Sometimes I'll listen to it because I think the dude is funny. But I can only listen to so much because, like, Salaki, the way he be talking about, some sisters. There was one I had listened to a few days ago about, and mind you, this is still on top. Still on topic. Just a few days ago, I had listened. I think it was an older video, whatever. But a chick said that she was 5 foot, 145 pounds. She said that. I was like, oh damn, okay, you sound alright. Put her picture on the her video chat on the thing. I was like, damn, no, like she took wild. She looked good. Like, man, all right, you know what? I'm gonna tame myself. I'm gonna keep myself tamed. But she looked like a good sister that just simply needs instruction. Because mind you, she looking for it because she was seeking it out from some goofy ass nigga named Kevin Samuels, who of which, come to find out, is a homosexual. Got caught up with a dude in the bed, right? Y'all need to pay attention to that. Pay attention to that because Commander General Yohana has been saying on how homosexuals are very quick to degrade our women because they are trying to. Men are naturally competitive. When a man is trying to be a woman, who are they trying to compete with? A woman. Men are better fitted for competition to an extent. Because I will not put it on the playing grounds of we are better at being a woman than a woman is being a woman. I'm not saying that. So you cannot get that twisted. You understand what I'm saying? But Kevin Samuels was real quick to knock down women. Do he keep it real? I'll give him that for some things. He keep it real. But he goes off of the white man American standard of, asking, oh, what's the average height for a woman? 5'4". She was 5 foot. He said, what's the average weight for that 5 foot for a woman? I think he said somewhere around like if I remember correctly, 110, 115 pounds. I'm sorry, but I know I speak for a good portion of men. Of course, we do want some form of, we want some little itty bitty thing, this, that, and the other. But to me, the itty bitty thing is like, it's fun. I look at that as endurance. And then in time, once I put a baby in you, you're going to put on some weight, whatever. I'm basically molding you into that 5 foot, 145 pound female. Put it that way. Put it that way. Because mind you as well, I will mold any woman
I'm just saying this right now, boldly. Any woman I deal with, I will mold you into what I want under my house. Because my children will not be what you want. Your our children, my child that I sire with you will be a replica of their father. You understand what I'm saying? But yeah, so to finish up on the wrap up the Kevin Samuels, that's why we need to separate. Because he's also going based off of somebody else's standard. Because mind you as well, she didn't look unhealthy at all, obese or anything, because he read that off the internet that she was technically 2 pounds from being obese. I'm obese. I'm 250 pounds, 5'11", as a male. I look obese to you. I look like I got a roll after roll. Like, come on now. Let's be practical. And to keep it a buck with you, I know damn well I've seen it when I go to the gym where, Precinct Officer 500, Bakar, and if I may, the brother's been phenomenal as a workout partner. You know what I'm saying? This brother shows excellent brotherhood in the gym when it comes down to us pushing each other so that we can reach that next level and that next limit. You know what I'm saying? So that way next week, the week following, we are better than the week, the week before. You understand? But I watch other people in the gym in between sets and whatnot. And they ain't nothing too different. They ain't nothing in comparison to me. I might be a little overweight, but for the majority, I do high reps with everything. Try. I might be obese according to Kevin Samuels, but try. Try Officer Bakar. You understand what I'm saying? Try him. Try any of the goddamn captains, officers in this school. Try them. I wish you would. I don't give a damn if they obese or whatever. According to the white man's numbers, which are ridiculous. You understand? There's some gauge, but majority, they're ridiculous. I could take away, move this, I still don't have a double chin. But I'm obese. It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm going to read on.
Verse 2, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices they have imagined.
It's coming your way.
Verse 3, for the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth.
Your priests and prophets, your priests and pastors, in your churches. You understand?
Verse 5, always select. Verse 4, the wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts.
So the wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. God is not after his thoughts. So in other words, the things that he does, you think God gonna consider him when God's not even considered in his own thoughts? God knows your thoughts. You might fail, you might fall, here, that, and the other, and you have the consideration of the Most High God. Okay? But when you are being a homosexual and you don't think about God at all, because that is something that is an aberration, or something that the Most High God abhorreth in the first place, you think that he's gonna come to your aid when you got done being a homosexual and you did whatever that you did, and please God, don't let me have this, that, and the other. You think God gonna, okay, you call it property. Knowing damn well, the very next day, you're gonna go and fool around with him again. Disgusting. Disgusting. You understand? And that's how the Most High God views you. Disgusting. Why should the Most High God give you a blessing with your disgustingness? You understand? Verse 5. We're supposed to go to verse 8. Okay. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at him. His ways are grievous. It's difficult for a Black, Hispanic, or Native American to live and get down in the world that we live in the world of the white man. Because his ways are grievous. Anything that we do, it comes against us. Redlining. Look at goddamn bank loans. Bank loans. The statistics of just a Black, Hispanic, and Native American being able to come up to get themselves a better life. The hoops and ladders that we have to go through and up so that we can have a better life in this world. Grievous. We have to be more white than the white man. We have to be more white than the Asian man, more white than the African man, more white than anybody else that comes into America before they even consider you as eligible for a loan. What I mean by that is, you got a parking ticket, that might come against your loan, your bank loan, for whatever it is you loan it for. But that same exact parking ticket that the white man had, the Asian man had, the African man had, guess what? Qualified for the same loan, for the same house, same car, whatever it is that you was trying to get a loan for, business, whatever it was that hindered you, they get it. But mind you, what you got to do so that you get it as a Black, Hispanic, or Native American man, if you know a white man is applying against you, an Asian man is applying against you, an African man is applying against you, anybody that is not Black, so-called Negro, Hispanic, or Native American that apply against you for the same thing that you want for you and your family, you didn't have a perfect record. No parking tickets, no speeding tickets, no evictions, no felonies, no arrests, no pullovers, no nothing. You need to be the perfect white man. The perfect white man that the white man can't even be. You feel what I'm saying? You get what I'm getting at? You need to be something that the doggone white man can't even be. And my personal taste, my personal opinion, I slick find that disgusting myself. I find that disgusting because now you put my brothers and sisters in a position where I would find them questionable. Of course, I'm going to give them a chance. Of course, I'm going to hear them out. Of course, I'm going to give them a chance for them to change and repent. Mind you, look, there are brothers in the UPK who live real good, doing their thing, and this, that, and the other, make great money. Ain't nothing wrong with that. What I'm speaking on is someone who is coming up out of poverty, where they understand, you know what, if I don't want to live like this anymore, this is how I have to act. I have to act like them, but be better than them. I have to act white, but be better than white. But the sad part is, my nigga, my brother, my sister, my wetback brothers, my savage brothers and sisters, you already better than them. You literally stooping yourself down to their standards. You understand what I'm saying? We short on time. I'm gonna read on Salakia. Verse 5. His ways are always grievous, thy judgments are far above, out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. You know, our judgments are above his because we righteous people. You understand? Because we have a righteous God. Follow after God, we follow after righteous judgment. You understand? As for his enemies, he puffeth at them. He puffeth. Make him seem like he's bigger and swoller and can actually do something. When in reality, you meek. You can't do nothing. You small. You nothing bigger than a lie. Verse 6. He has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. He said that. But ain't the white man in adversity right now? And he going through it right now because his doggone economy is going through it? You understand what I'm saying? Ain't that what the case and scenario is? But mind you as well, America the Great. Any war we go through, we smashing through it. Happened in the first couple of wars, sure. But then the Lord began to play on its own people. Because think about it. The Vietnam War, what you thought that was Esau had compassion for the Asian man? Esau has no compassion for anybody. That was the work of the Lord. Because the Lord said, now is the beginning of me turning you against your own people. He didn't say that per se, but you can see it through how it's been happening. Because since Vietnam, when has America been on any type of support of any wars that America goes into? When? Because World War II, it was damn near all factories, all businesses shut down their business. They said, you know what, I'm not worried about my business. Let's win this war. That's unity. That's a beautiful thing. I'm going to admit that. That's a beautiful thing because that's unity amongst their own people. White man doing it. But mind you, where it becomes ugly is the fact of who was running them, who was actually pushing them factories. Who was actually fulfilling them quotas? Who was actually making that money and making sure them bombers and them bombs and everything that the military needed? Who was actually making sure that that was provided? The black man. Where you just had an overseer. You just had somebody saying, I'll get it done. This is what we're going to do to support this war. You understand what I'm saying? Verse 6. He has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. White man don't think he ever going to have any issues. UK, Russia, America, man, come on. They're all allies. Let's be real. Verse 7. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. So in other words, it's just saying that from his tongue, what comes off his tongue is full of cursing, deceit, and fraud. And in other words, I'm gonna set you up so that when we join alliances, so-called Native Americans, when you decide to, let my colonizer people be here on this land, we're gonna give you smallpox. We're gonna give you war. We're gonna give you all manners of sickness and anything and everything that you do not deserve. You understand what I'm saying? And it's under his tongue is mischief and vanity. Mischief, where it's just something he up to no good, and that vanity is to upbring himself for no reason. Upbring yourself just to be taken down and never come back up. That's like climbing a hill. All that hard work that comes to climbing that hill and letting that hill be the climax of your life. Because when you come back down, you'll never even reach that hill again. You understand? Verse 8, he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. Set against the poor. Who's the real poor? Who's the real poverty of America? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? But let's read from the beginning. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. If you black, Hispanic, or Native American, you are not going to ever tell me that in your neighborhood, you grew up in the suburbs, okay. You grew up in a better place, okay, that's fine. I'll give you that. Y'all get passes. Y'all get passes. Because you know what? I grew up in the suburbs for a time. But I do know what it's like being in a neighborhood where, you don't go past that corner. You don't go over there at this certain time because they waiting over there. And of course, I'm a goofy. I'm one of them little badass kids. I'll admit it to y'all. I'm one of them badass kids where I needed to know my boundaries. Not my mom and dad boundaries, but I needed to know my boundaries. How far can I go when I go in a new neighborhood? Because best and believe, no matter who it is, I needed to know my boundaries. I needed to know what the extent was, because then I know whether or not I can press that. You understand? I am part of that stick neck people. That people that just can't listen to doggone reason because we want to do what they want to do. I got put into situations where, you know what, you need to slow the hell down with this before I kill you. And to keep it a buck with you, for those of y'all that have known, and I'll announce it right now in the class, I got out of the military, of course, because Command General Yohana has said to separate. The scripture said to separate. But the real reason is because I'm afraid that the Most High God would kill me if I were to sign another contract, and I didn't want to roll the dice again. He saw me through one war. I didn't want to see another. I was afraid because as soon as I came back, the school, I'm not going to address him by his slave name or even his name in the military. The brother sees this, Most High in Christ. But this is also the brother who brought me into the IACPK in the first place. Officer Bankayal out there in North Carolina. Fayetteville, North Carolina. I believe he's still in Fayetteville. I know he's in North Carolina. At least at the time I was out there. I know he was born and raised in North Carolina. But if it wasn't for him, of course, Most High God set him across my path. I had to join the military and everything. But if it wasn't for him, he was the one who gave me the information that I have, or the information to gain the information I have. So I like it. You understand? So, with that being said, I want y'all to understand and take in mind that separation, first and foremost, like the title says, is the will of the Lord and the reason for it in the first place. You know, just to do a quick little check on learning, you know what I'm saying? A quick check on learning Salaki. Salaki. Carbonation, man, from these ginger ales. Salaki. Go check on learning. Unless you separate, we as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans keep on falling into the same spell, same issues. Salaki. Salaki. The same spell, same issues. Until we decide to, Zephaniah 2:1, gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. You understand what I'm saying? And with that, Shalom Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Baruch to all the brothers of Israel. Shalom Yahweh Shamar Alathon by Hashem Yahushua to all the sisters. This is the ISUPK Las Vegas under the one and only Commander General Yohana. Started out 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. And with that, class dismissed.